Yeah, looks like I can do that. Okay, so let me just start. All right, so thank you very much. I'd like to welcome our two speakers for today, Beata and Maria, both representing Eastern Europe. This is part of the Future of Work webinar series hosted by the International Ergonomics Association and the Future of Work subcommittee. We've currently held, this will be the 16th one that we've held on the future of work, from hearing things from around the world, and this will be the last one in the series before we have the IEA Congress, which is happening in South Korea, in Jeju Island. Just to remind those people who are wishing to get CPD points that you'll need to fill out a survey afterwards. So it means paying careful attention to the presentation as it is presented today. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce our two speakers. Our first speaker is Beata. Beata is an associate professor and head of the Division of Applied Ergonomics at the Institute of Safety and Quality Engineering, the Faculty of Management Engineering at Poznan University of Technology in Poland. She holds a master's degree in marketing, management and marketing from Mechanical Engineering and Management at Poznan University, and a PhD in machine construction and operation from the Faculty of Computer Science and Management, also at Poznan University of Technology. She was awarded a DSc degree in Mechanical Engineering by the Faculty of Mechanical Engineering of the Poznan University of Technology in 2019. She has, since 2018, she's also been a board member for CRE, the Center for Registration of European Ergonomists. She's also a board member of the Polish Ergonomics Society, a member of the Commission of the Polish Academy of Arts and Sciences, and a member of the Ergonomics Committee at the Polish Academy of Sciences in the Poznan branch. She has more than 120 publications focused on human factors, and is the editor or co-editor of 15 books. She also sits as a member of 8 editorial boards of international journals, and has been the guest editor of a number of other special issues of these journals. Maria Elena is the secretary of the Safety and Health Technical Committee of the International Ergonomics Association, and co-founder of the Society of Ergonomics and Workplace Management, ErgoWork, which is the society from Romania. She is an assistant professor and researcher at the Polytechnică University of Timisoara. Maria also has a PhD degree in ergonomics and a master's degree in occupational health and safety. Maria's research interests are focused on workplace well-being, occupational health and safety, and ergonomic standardization. So without further ado, I would like to hand over to our speakers. I'm going to turn my mic and my camera off, and I'm going to invite Beata to share her slides and take us through her presentation. I look forward to hearing it. Thank you very much.
Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that you are able to see my screen and my presentation. Just please confirm me before I will start.
We can, yeah, perfectly.
Okay,
thank you.
Perfect. So thank you very much again. At first, I would like to thank you very much also for a very short introduction about myself. So now it's, let's say, clear that I will be representing not only Eastern Europe, but also Poland, where I work at the Poznan University of Technology, especially in the Faculty of Engineering Management and Division of Applied Ergonomics, which I am, let's say, in favor. I am proud to be just leading since the last 4 years. And for today, I have prepared the presentation, which I also entitled to move further. And I just call it investigating the future of work in Eastern Europe, embracing Industry 4.0 and age management. And my presentation will be, let me check. Oh, what a surprise! It's not just, let's say, now going down. Okay, so my presentation will have the following outline. At first, I would like to shortly to introduce you into the subject. Afterwards, I would like to show you some statistics about Industry 4.0 in Eastern Europe. Then I will discuss the main skills for Industry 4.0. The next, it will be the problem of aging population, finally leading to age management in Industry 4.0. In the final part, I would like to talk shortly about good practices in age management from a Polish industry. And the last part will be devoted to future outlook. So it will be just the moment when I would like to combine, emphasize the idea of Industry 4.0 and age management, which is, let's say, crucial issue which we pay attention not nowadays. And finally, conclusions. So let's say, start. Introduction. In the introduction, what I would like to say at first is just to refer to United Nations, because they have already, let's say, decided, they have already said us clearly which countries we are talking about. So now we can just see the map of exactly Eastern Europe. So all the information which I will be, let's say, referring will be exactly regarding to this part. And this, let's say, presentation also refers to Industry 4.0. Industry 4.0 is the notion which is, let's say, very well known nowadays, as it, let's say, refers to transition of traditional manufacturing to industries processes for digital technologies. But as you may see, behind this, let's say, great notion, there are key elements, and we have to be really aware about this fact, because in a moment you will see that Industry 4.0 is huge, as I said, notion, but it is connected, it's got key elements inside, which means that one of them might be developing very fast, the other might be still behind. But generally, this is what we have to talk, what we have to take into account to be able to say that we are the company which is already, let's say, has implemented or is at the stage of implementing Industry 4.0. And these key elements would be like interconnectivity, information transparency, automation and robotics, artificial intelligence and machine learning, digital twins, and cybersecurity. If we talk about interconnectivity, here we have to keep in our mind that we talk about connections of machines, devices, sensors, and of course, human, who will be just connected due to Internet of Things and other communication technologies to let them just enable real data exchange and collaboration. When we talk about information transparency here, we will be referring to the data which will be will be just appearing from various sources like, again, machinery, processes, and supply chains, for example, and they will be collected, analyzed, and visualized to provide insights for decision making and optimization. And here again, behind that, there will be again the human. Then we've got automation and robotics. And here, of course, robotic, just autonomous systems, just advanced automation technologies we will be introducing. So then we'll be measuring how far we are. Then we've got artificial intelligence and machine learning. And here, of course, all AI just algorithms, machine learning algorithms will be used for analyzing large data sets, optimize processes, predict maintenance needs. And finally, we've got digital twins. So it will be the moment when we will be just making virtual representation of physical assets, processes or just systems. And cybersecurity. So we'll, let's say, adjust to the need to make a robust cybersecurity in our system. And here, what we have to be aware that if we talk about Industry 4.0, in Eastern Europe, all these key elements have been, let's say, taken into account, but they are implemented just, as you can see, according to the report of Deloitte, they are around 72%. So it means that the stage has already been going on, but they are, let's say, implemented this moment in some form. So it doesn't mean that 72% of all our manufacturers in Eastern Europe are so far. No, we have started. And that's why it's very important when we do this analysis that we do not, let's say so directly. So let's say we do not, let's say, do this assumption like a general statement that we are so far. No, we are just in the stage of implementation. And that's why when we try to find the countries which are, let's say, the most advanced, it will be Poland, Hungary, and Czech Republic, as they are, let's say, leading the implementation of advanced manufacturing technologies. And what do we expect? What is in the near future? And here we will, let's say, start digging for the data. It's getting more interesting because here this is the first moment when it's already written that if we talk about just about internet technology adoption, here it's already said that, okay, in Eastern Europe, we are experiencing rapid growth. And it's supposed that it would be just around 24 billion by the next year. If we talk about artificial intelligence investments, it's clearly set up, already said that in startups in this region, there would be a great, let's say, increase up to 36%. If we talk about robotics, here we find out such information that the number of robots which will be just used in our manufacturing companies will be doubled if we compare data from 2090 till 2025. And now the question is where we will go. The way how we will adopt what we will manage to do might be diverse. As you can see, it might be straight or it might be curved. And why is this question raised by me? Because I have to be aware, you have to also be aware about the fact that some nations are, let's say, already, let's say, almost ready to be adopting just such technologies. And in case of our Eastern European nations, this issue seems very easy if we think about educational background, because our educational background, just behind that, there is a long tradition that we are excellent. We are trying to put the most of the knowledge directed into engineering, math, or just science education. So we've got strong technical capabilities, but they are from, let's say, quite long period of time. And also what is interesting in the last years, many multinational companies have opened offices and also development centers just in Eastern Europe, because they are attracted by our highly skilled labor pool and also lower development costs. And on the other thing, we also have to be aware when we discuss where we will go, where would be the next step of our work, future work. We also have to be aware that graduates from Eastern European universities are rather not interested anymore to immigrate, as our tech jobs and wages have already risen. So it gives us, if we analyze educational background, a very positive attitude to the future. And also, if we think about the government initiatives and also policies, here we may say that, okay, they have already done a lot in order to support adoption of such technology. So for example, in my country, so in Poland, our government has introduced such a program as Industry 4.0 in Poland to promote digitalization of manufacturing and encouraging innovations in key sectors. Behind this program and also the other ones like Strategy for Responsible Development, tax alleviating measures, and a future industry platform, that we can also find out the information how much we are doing in order to support this development. So for example, in the first strategy, in the first program, which I have already mentioned, so Strategy for Responsible Development, which is with the perspective of 2030, it's already, let's say, idea behind that program is that we will be trying to reduce the gap between rural and urban areas. And also behind this, as we will be changing, improving infrastructures, we will be putting also attention to digitalization. When we've got tax alleviating measures behind that, let's say, huge IDEA, huge program, there would be also a 50% tax-based reduction for purchase of robots. If we've got a future industry platform, here we are trying to strengthen just the skills and competitiveness by supporting transformation to Industry 4.0. But then the question arises, okay, industry, just as I have already mentioned, these key elements like information transparency, automation, robotics, and so on, but there are needed some skills. And if we start analyzing what skills are the most often mentioned, because I always will be emphasizing that this Industry 4.0 notion consists of many ideas behind. So there is no one, let's say, skill which will be able to, let's say, always to fulfill as the, let's say, the first one, the most important one to all ideas, problems which have to be solved. But here we are able, on the basis of the literature and also on the basis of diverse reports about Industry 4.0, define four main, most often, let's say, mentioned abilities, skills, which will, let's say, need to be able to have as future workers. The first one is digital literacy. And here it is said that 90% of jobs in the future will exactly require digital skills, including even basic programming, data analysis. The next skill, it will be problem solving. And in this case, it is said that such a skill is required, it's let's say already said by employees, by 72 of companies. Then we've got adaptability. And here it is said that being able to adopt, to be able to have the willingness, insight to learn new, it's also the issue which is really needed for Industry 4.0. And finally, creativity. So we have to be, as you can see, also open to such skill. But then we can see that in the literature and also in the reports, there have been done some investigations exactly referring to managers who are asked, okay, how do you see where we will go? What is more interesting, more crucial in order to go in the way of, in the direction of Industry 4.0? And here we can see that, for example, most of the managers see that the post-industrial revolution will lead us to more equality and stability. We also see here that a majority of our workforce can be trained to have the skills we require, but we have to be ready to train. The skills that we require of our employees will involve much more rapidity than they do today. So very fast response, it will be the skill which will be needed. Also, when we had the talks were just done, the questionnaire was done with the manufacturer companies, but with the leaders, it was said that organizational relationship with workforce will trend toward just temporary or just ad hoc employees. Current education system will continue to work and prepare individuals for work. And this is also the issue which we have to, let's say, take into account in our system. But what is the problem? What might be the problem? What we have to be aware that, okay, we've got the market, and on this market, there is a population. And the population in Europe is, let's say, as probably it's known for you, it's getting older and older. So what does it mean? Soon in the market, there would be people who have graduated, who have already finished their education some years ago. So it means that they have to be able to work in such a new environment. Because as you can imagine, for young people, just working in the system, which is digitalized, it's, let's say, easy issue because they were, let's say, born in such a, let's say, environment. But the older one have to be, let's say, have a chance to change to extend their skills. But on the other hand, what do we see is that there is also one trend which is called age management. So in the industry, we are trying to find out what to do, how to enable these people who are just getting older to be able to work in new environment. But what do we see? We see here that, of course, this notion age management is very, let's say, very often emphasized. A lot of attention is paid to this idea. But if we start, let's say, checking what is behind that. So, for example, now I would like to show you some, let's say, programs which are already inside such age management to emphasize exactly where we are going. So, for example, here the practices of one of the company like Polska Grupa Energetyczna is like health and wellness, flexible working conditions, training and development, mentoring programs. Then when we've got just our bank, Polish bank PKO, we see that they were working on career path adaptation, health programs, flexible retirement plans. When we've got another company, which is called KGHM Polska Miedź, they also got such practices, and they are paying attention mainly to ergonomics improvements, continuous education, work balance, and health monitoring. Another one, probably also well known for you, it's LOT Polish Airlines. They've got such practices like health and fitness programs, career flexibility, training programs, and support systems. And finally, the company which I had a luck to collaborate for the last 3 years, as we were working on this program, in this part of this program. There are practices like lifelong learning, health initiatives, flexible working condition, and monitoring and knowledge transfer. And what do we see? Generally, we can notice that most of the attention, a lot of attention is already paid to well-being, to healthy issues and so on, and just the development of skills which are needed for our future. So for the future, which will be just with the Industry 4.0, let's say one of the points, they are not the point which are, let's say, now emphasized as the crucial, because it is what will happen. So that's why I would like to say that future, in our future outlook, we really have to make aware that the population which will be working has to has to have enough skills to be able to collaborate in Industry 4.0 technologies, because this is where we are going. And on the other hand, it's very good that we have already noticed that just the age management is the problem. But as I said, we have to emphasize also this way and also this need. And that's why the future of the work in Eastern Europe, of course, it will be closely connected with the adoption of industry technologies. But here, skills development is needed to be taken into account, and it should be one of the programs just in age management, which is already, let's say, just done. And if you've got any question, if you are working in a similar area like Industry 4.0 skills, abilities, and also age management, I also would like to invite you for further, let's say, collaboration, exchange of thoughts, and that's why I'm providing just now an email. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Beata. I'm going to ask this opportunity for Maria just to go straight into your presentation. I can see it up.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Thank you again for this invitation to participate in the webinar. Today, I would like to open the discussion about the future of work in Romania with the quite particular status of ergonomics and human factors in our country. Romania ergonomics and human factors bring various challenges to the table. First of all, the fact that both national and European legislation regarding occupational health and safety encompass very little applications of ergonomics in the workplace as mandatory practices. And this leads to a situation where the safety culture in organizations is not necessarily a developmental focus area for some companies, especially those who do not have enough money for investments. Also, the popularity of ergonomics as consulting services for companies is still relatively low in our country. And as Professor Mrugalska said, Industry 4.0 is here to stay. So we need to adapt and further focus on integrating ergonomics in companies. However, major steps have been taken in the past decade, with the apogee being in the past 7 years for our country, of course. So the first major success happened in 2017 when ergonomist was officially recognized by law as a profession in the National Occupational Classification, which is the Romanian legislative nomenclature of professions. Also, the corresponding standard was approved, creating the framework for further developing educational programs, especially in higher education. Moving on, in the next year, another legislative initiative was adopted. Higher education certificates were recognized by law as training programs in ergonomics and human factors. What does this mean? It means that before this law, ergonomists were not necessarily considered as trained professionals if they had a master's degree, for example, in ergonomics. But after the law was passed, they could create an equivalent of a training program with higher education degrees. This was to a certain extent the consequence of adopting the occupational standard for the ergonomist profession. A common and very strong preoccupation crystallized in 2019 when the Romanian Ergonomics and Workplace Management Society, ErgoWork, was established. An important note here is that along with the national efforts to have our own professional association, a major effect is the contribution of international collaborations of the founders with various professionals across Europe. So this led to two significant achievements. In October 2020, ErgoWork becomes associate member of the European Federation of Ergonomic Societies, which further oriented the approval in October 2023 of ErgoWork as a federate member of the International Ergonomics Association. So now we are full members of the IEA. The COVID-19 pandemic was a troubled context, especially for those who had to work remotely without any prior experience, limited furniture and technological facilities, and no ergonomics training. Therefore, several Romanian occupational health professionals, ergonomists, and architects partnered to create Ergo Around Home, a free online ebook aimed at supporting remote workers in setting a remote working space and ensuring optimal and risk-free working conditions in the comfort of their homes. So this guide was published by ErgoWork in September 2021. It is a guide still available online in the Romanian language. Another thing that we managed to generate and maintain is our ErgoWork conference, which this year celebrates its third edition. The past edition in 2022 was a hybrid event with unexpected success and high interest from professionals, both in Romania and other countries in Europe. So allow me to officially invite those who watch us today to our conference, which is planned for 31st of October and 1st of November in Bucharest, in Romania. The publishing opportunities include journals indexed in Clarivate Web of Science database, meaning that those who are interested in publishing in the field of ergonomics have a strong opportunity of publishing in prominent journals. And also, this increases the significance and popularity of our conference, both at national and international level. The call for papers is still open until 15th of July, so you have 1 month left to join us with your interest in various research areas in ergonomics and human factors. So the challenges for the future of work in Romania are defined by its national context, where steps have been made, as I've already presented, but there is still work to be done. For example, Professor Thatcher, I can disclose that as part of this technical committee, we truly believe that the conception of an ergonomics ISO standard is a significant part of increasing popularity of ergonomics and promoting the importance of ergonomics for companies in all industries. So we've partnered with the Canadian Standards Association and the Brazilian Standardization Body to understand prerogatives for conception of an ISO standard solely dedicated to ergonomics and human factors. So it wouldn't be necessarily standard as part of the health and safety standards family, but a standalone standard. Moving on, we can all admit that the future of work will include, without any doubt, hybrid and remote work. The labor market is changing. It is no longer a dilemma, but a certainty. The question is how? As per the 2023 WorkWise report, 47% of Romanian employees believe that flexible on-demand working hours will prevail by 2030 in the context of the 4-day week and hybrid work. Technology influences the way we work without any doubt. The same report shows that a third of Romanian employees believe that technology will cause profound changes in the way we work in the next 10 years. Moreover, 43% of these interviewed employees identify performance enhancements through technology as one of the likely trends for the coming decade. Nicholas Bloom, who is an economist at Stanford University, was for some years now interested in researching hybrid and remote work, and he proved that increased productivity can come from reducing or eliminating commuting time through remote work. However, he still thinks that the default mode of business thinking should be hybrid rather than remote. Maybe a 3-2 system, 3 days in the office, 2 days at home, and a synchronization for employee common activities. This is a suggestion that proved to be functional and to work across a lot of companies. Work from home is increasingly sought, according to a study of the Romanian online recruitment platform Best Jobs. Remote variants attracted more than 150,000 applications only in November 2023. By comparison, in the same period, only 13,000 job offers were available on the same platform. This is more than 10 times the demand for this kind of work arrangements. This trend is expected to continue, which leads to a huge gap between workforce demand and supply. Most remote and hybrid job opportunities are in industries such as sales, call centers, ICT, information and communication technologies, and marketing. Another major online recruiting platform, eJobs, have been studying the evolution of demand and supply of remote and hybrid jobs in the first half of this year. And they've concluded that only 4.2% of companies are offering remote or hybrid jobs nowadays, while 13.2% of candidates express their interest in a remote position, which actually reflects the persistent desire for more flexibility. The most popular and prominent sector in which hybrid work is a certainty is the ICT sector. The impact of information and communication technologies within the workplace has generally resulted in increased productivity and efficiency, as well as a range of possibilities for more flexible working practices. While these changes have generated a wide range of new jobs, the introduction of ICTs has also led to job losses, for example, due to automation. This segment of the labor market is quite small in absolute terms, but employment in this sector was relatively resistant to the cyclical nature of economic events during the most recent decade for which data are available. So as we can see, for example, as per Eurostat data, in Romania, only 2.6% of the total workforce is represented by ICT specialists. Annual rates of change in the number of persons employed as ICT specialists were consistently higher than those recorded for the total employment rates throughout the European Union. In the first 2 years of this decade, the rates of change for the number of people employed as ICT specialists had a quite fast growth rate. For example, initially we witnessed an average increase rate of 4.8% in total employment for ICT specialists as compared to a 1% rate for the total employment. Without any doubt, 2019 and 2020 were marked by an intensified increase in the number of ICT specialists employed, with an average of 9.2 points in terms of increasing employability as compared to the 1% rate that is specific to the labor market. In terms of ergonomics and human factors, this is a major area of research and constant preoccupations, as remote and hybrid work generates significant problems. Some of the challenges are correct workplace risk assessment. So it's quite difficult to perform a risk assessment in somebody's home, because after all, remote work involves people working from home. Prevention initiatives aimed at both occupational disorders and accidents. So again, companies have certain restrictions when trying to implement prevention in remote work. And also, there are challenges pertaining to compliance with the applicable occupational health and safety regulations, but also certain best practices that the company might enact as a part of their safety culture. So we need to urgently work on finding legal solutions for proper training remote and hybrid employees, to define the limits of responsibility for occupational related disorders and safety incidents, and also for surveillance of employees for compliance with the applicable laws. The most delicate problem is the fact that remote and hybrid work generate interferences of personal life and their personal space, for example, the employee's home, with work-related space and responsibilities. Another particularity of Romania is the relatively slower digitalization process as compared to other EU countries. In Romania, only 27.7% of the population has basic or above basic digital skills, as compared to the EU average of approximately 55%. Digital transformation is high on the European policy agenda. Making Europe fit for the digital age and empowering its citizens and businesses with a new generation of technologies is one of their main political priorities for the coming years. In March 2021, the European Commission presented the Digital Decade communication, which sets the vision and targets for a successful digital transformation by 2030. The European Commission also proposed something they call the Digital Compass, which sets out a way for achieving their ambitions for a human-centered, sustainable, and prosperous digital future. In particular, digitally skilled citizens and highly skilled digital professionals form one of the 4 cardinal points in the Digital Compass. One of the objectives is to reach at least 20 million employed ICT specialists in the EU by 2030, coupled with a greater convergence of gender balance in taking up such jobs. So with these considerations in mind, I would like to propose 2 examples of how we deal with these challenges. So our university, Politehnica University of Timișoara, partnered with the West University of Timișoara and University of Rijeka, with 2 companies, Bicero in Slovenia and Denkstadt in Romania, and 1 NGO, the European Certification and Qualification Association. And we all tried to meet this need for achieving strong performance while maintaining health and well-being of remote educators, remote workers, and remote managers. So we have a EU co-founded project, which is named Virtual Edu, and this project started in December 2022. The most prominent aspect of the Virtual Edu, and the thing that I want to highlight here, is the fact that we actually integrated human factors and ergonomic related aspects in the course, in the training program that we developed. So one of the skills that we are trying to develop through this course is actually how to set up a remote workplace to meet the ergonomic standards and requirements, and also how to maintain mental health and occupational well-being in remote and hybrid scenarios. So this is one of the successful examples of how we should proceed with ergonomics and human factors in the coming years, not necessarily addressing ergonomics per se, but also integrating it in any educational program that can and has relevance for various types of engineers and other professionals. Another example of integrating ergonomics to address the challenges of remote and hybrid work is a series of events and competitions called Meaning and Fusion of Work, which happens under the auspices of our Ergo Work Society. So, for example, we have open office days where professionals in various companies meet and work in different, most of the times, unexpected spaces like gardens or a train or remote spaces that are sometimes offering also technical challenges, and these problems are addressed as part of these events. And on the other hand, we want to educate the new generation. So we have 2 student competitions, Urban Link 15 minutes, which addresses primarily to engineers and architects that come with solutions of how to integrate urban furniture with remote work requirements so that we have a more easily available city for those who work in hybrid and remote instances. And also we have an essay competition called Labor in Daily Life on the horizon of the year 2040, which both the competitions are in their 4th year. They proved to be a success every year, meaning that we will continue with this tradition. Educating professionals, educating the young generation, and orientating towards the unassessed risks and implications of hybrid and remote work are vital for maintaining this field as relevant in a world where artificial intelligence and automation are expected to change the labor landscape so dramatically that at least 1/3 of the jobs of the future do not even exist nowadays. Romania needs to make major efforts to increase prominence and importance of ergonomics while also meeting the EU agenda for digitalization. At the same time, ergonomists need to make efforts for adapting their proposals to meet the needs and requirements of companies who can rapidly integrate new technologies, but at the same time, are unaware of the potential occupational health and safety risks in the workplace. Hybrid work will remain a successful and widespread model as long as employees, managers, and companies wisely integrate the benefits of freedom, flexibility, and autonomy in individual work, but know how to combine them pragmatically with physical meetings, which bring great value in the area of communication, coordination, social cohesion, creativity, collaborative productivity in their teams. Thank you.
Thank you very much, both to Beata and Maria, for those fascinating insights. I've got an interesting picture in my head now of Eastern Europe, which is quite different to the one I had before I started the presentations today. So thank you very much for that, and also for the invitations to the conference that you're holding later this year. It's I didn't know that was happening. That's looks all very interesting. So what I'm going to be doing is just shifting across to the Q&A session. I see there's a few questions that have started to pop up here. One I think you've actually already answered, Maria. It was a question about what is the projection for work from home versus on-site work for the future, and I think you've actually already answered that one. You answered that one in the rest of your presentation, so I'm not going to go and ask that one again. Rather, what I'm going to do is shift to Aninja's second question. I think this was relating to working with ACE, to looking at sort of ISO regulations or standards around ergonomics principles, and he asked about what you're proposing. How does that fit in with ISO 6385, which is the ergonomics principles in the design of work systems?
Yes, this is quite a great question, and I'm happy that someone asked it. The idea is that we do not work with creation of a standard that addresses only technical aspects. Ergonomics also covers neuroscience aspects, psychological aspects, even economic aspects, like investment in ergonomic interventions, meaning that these kind of standards that are already in place do not cover these aspects. This is why we try to create, but it's quite challenging to create a standard where we should also find some instruments for assessment that would fit various types of industries. It's not the same thing to implement ergonomics in a factory as implementing ergonomics in hybrid and remote work, for example, or in provision of various types of services like consulting services. How to implement ergonomics in consulting services? We try to be more covering with our standard. It will take us some years to work for this.
I think actually, your first question was for Beata. Sorry, I've a Ninja's question actually was actually for Beata. I see you talked about that in Romania, Maria, but I suppose for Beata, in Poland, the projection of work from home versus on-site work in Poland, is that similar to what you might see in Romania, or do you have a different situation there?
Okay, so here what I would like to say, how I would like to answer the question is that, of course, the pandemic time made us open to diverse options, diverse type of works, but generally, let's say, we are not so ready to perform a job at work, so a job at home. So that's the issue. Generally, we may see that many of, let's say, jobs connected with IT can be performed, because if people are just programming and so on, it's possible. There is no needed direct contact with the company. Many things can be, let's say, done from distance. But as also Maria has already said, we are just, let's say, making first steps. We have problems with the regulations, how to fulfill them, how to check if the environment at home is exactly as it should be. And also then it's a question what it will be if something happens to our employee, how to, let's say, do all this, let's say, regulation, how to fulfill the regulation, or how to check them and so on. So this is, let's say, I think the challenge which we have to pause, because our, let's say, technology will allow us, but I think it needs time for the companies to be aware. We also need appropriate, let's say, policy to be ready, because let's say, if you just work at a company, it's clearly visible what is the environment, how it, if it's adjusted, how it is adjusted, and so on. At home, that's also the issue. If we, as a manufacturer company, if we can just intervene so much at your home environment and so on and so on. But I think it will be going in that direction. So that's my answer.
Okay. It was an interesting way of saying it's going to happen, but we're not ready for it in that sort of roundabout way. Fancy had a question which I think was, we jumped around a little bit, but I think it was also related to the ISO question, but I think it has been answered. So I'm going to, I got a second question for Beata as well. When I was quite interested to hear about your thoughts on the fact that many university graduates are choosing to stay in Poland, because there's very much this narrative that, given that Poland's in the European Union, that that Polish navigate towards the West, or at least migrate towards the West, and you're saying that has changed. Is that correct? And what's keeping the graduates in Poland?
Okay, so as the wages are changing, as we've got already, let's say, international companies, the wage is not as it was in previous 10 years. So that's why many people already, let's say, decide to stay in the environment where they were born, and they are not so much looking for the other, let's say, possibilities. Because 10 years ago, 15 years ago, it was a huge discrepancy between West and East. And now if you just come to our countries, just to Poland or just to Romania, you've got everything what is outside. So that's why we are not purchasing, we are not so much even eager to go and to move, yeah, because there is not a different word. So that's the issue. So, okay, I see that Maria also would like to comment.
Yeah, Maria.
Yes, I would like to actually add something. We are not exporting labor force anymore. We are importing from Asia.
Okay.
This
Oh,
is a
interesting.
trend, and this is an aspect that we have to deal with because there are language barriers, there are cultural barriers, and there are issues pertaining to the way they understand certain aspects as compared to the European safety culture. So these discrepancies need to be addressed once we integrate them in the labor force. So they come here to work. The problem is how we make sure that they do this in a healthy and safe way.
Yeah, and I exactly here agree with Maria. The same happened in Poland. We are not looking for other opportunities. We are now keeping and just catching opportunities, and we are employing many people from the world. And the same happens especially in our PhD school, because our PhD school, it was, let's say, when I was PhD student, it was only in Polish language. And now our PhD school is only in English language. And
Oh.
yes, only in English language, and we've got applications from the whole world. It is completely different because sometimes it was even no chance to think that there would be, let's say, students interested that will find. And now it seems that we've got, let's say, 6 times more interested, or even more people from the world to be accepted as our PhD student. So it's completely different situation. We've got many from them from even from Europe, from just Spain, from Italy. They are just asking us about this possibility, and also from Asia, from Africa, and so on. So the world is, let's say, here in Poland has changed, and also, as Maria, also in your country, it's completely different situation.
It's fascinating. Maybe I'll just use my privilege as chair to just ask one more follow-up question in here, and that is, what made that change? What shifted that change? Was that government policy? Was it change in education? Was it an openness to change?
I think that in my case, it's openness to change, because we are now celebrating more than 20 years of teaching in English language. So what do I mean? In our faculty, we've got fields of study which are in Polish language, and also we've got the same field of study but in English language. And it's already 22 years ago when we started. And for example, just now we've got the same amount of people who want to study in Polish language, but exactly the same amount of people who want to study management, because at this moment we've got 2 fields of study, so logistic and also engineering management, just on bachelor and also master level. And we are able to qualify just exactly the same almost number of foreigners who would like to study in our university. But of course, it's, let's say, it took a lot of time. Let's say, as I said, 22 years to be visible on the market, to, let's say, to be able to show that we are able to show the same level of education as the others are providing, and we are, let's say, open, and we are just, let's say, providing high quality. Yeah, so that's why it's changing. And also it's very important that our students are not just our students, they are becoming our employees. So they are not disappearing. So in many cases, most of them are also applying for PhD, but they are still on the market, because as I had some, let's say, lectures with them, and I'm still keeping in touch, I see that they are still here. So they are, let's say, they are educated for our country. So they are not, let's also don't see the need to immigrate. Yeah, so that's wonderful.
That's yeah, that's very interesting, and to see how that has changed. I see we've drawn to the end of our time, so I'm going to first of all just thank both of our speakers once again, and I hope to meet you in person sometime soon. If you're at the IEA Congress, I hope to see you there. I will definitely be there. I see there's a couple of congratulations and stuff coming through on the Q&A from our attendees. Thanks very much to our attendees for coming and listening. Just to remind you that if you do want your CPD points, that you should get an email after this with some questions that you need to answer, and then we'll take it from there. So let me just stop the recording. and